Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Friday, March 19th, 2021. And we begin with one of the teams in March Madness making sure it has its number one fan in the stands. Sister Jean is 101 years old, the chaplain for Loyola-Chicago, and their silver-haired Lucky Charm. COVID turned her tournament attendance into a question mark, but she's since received both shots and will join her boys when they take on Georgia Tech today in Indianapolis. The nun became an internet sensation, an icon of the madness, and a best-selling bobblehead 3 years ago when the Ramblers advanced to the Final Four. This year, blessings aside, her personal bracket has them making it as far as the Elite Eight. For the record, Sister Jean says she also prays for the teams on the other half of the court, just not as hard. Teachers in the U.S. may get their new social distancing marching orders as early as today. The CDC is expected to release a report any time now, and if we've successfully read between the lines of those making the decision, the required space between you and your classmates will likely drop from 6 feet to 3. Health officials have been pointing to a Massachusetts study published last week that showed no significant difference in the spread of the virus in schools that had cut the social distancing in half from those that didn't. For the sake of the climate, it would be great if cows burped less. The beef industry didn't like it the last time we did this story, but science and a new study are again on our side. Bovines are a gassy bunch, and the methane that seeps from both ends is a significant contributor to global warming. Enter red seaweed as a possible solution. Researchers have found that just a tiny amount of a specific type of kelp found around Australia cuts the noxious emissions by up to 86%. According to the organization Future Feed, if only 10% of farmers added it to their cows' diets, it would be like taking 100 million cars off the road. Earlier this week, we told you about the hip new editor of Teen Vogue, who was in hot water for racist tweets she posted as a teenager. As proof that the internet has a long memory, Alexi McCammond has now been forced to step down after she apologized, but before she even started. Coworkers pushed back hard on the hire, and this week, beauty store chain Ulta pulled a big ad campaign from the magazine. Word to the wise, the offensive tweets were all written when Ms. McCammond was still in high school. Nails on a chalkboard or the sweet sounds of space? For NASA, it's the latter. The Perseverance rover just sent another recording, this one as it made a 90-foot road trip across the Martian surface. Since the rover's wheels are metal and it's rolling across rock, the result is a high-pitched, grating grind. Even the engineer working with it admitted, "If I heard these sounds driving my car, I'd pull over and call for a tow." But in this case, he said it's music to the agency's ears. The dusty mission out and back was to find a good airstrip for the Ingenuity chopper. NASA says it's been located, and they'll update everyone on plans for the historic flight sometime next week. In other KidNuz notes, every year your moms, dads, guardians, and grandparents have a date with Uncle Sam. It's called Tax Day, and it's the deadline for each side to figure out who owes whom some money. Usually, it's April 15th. But like last year, the IRS is pushing it out a month to give filers a bit of COVID breathing room. No screaming? Not exactly. News floated around California the past few days that with the reopening of theme parks would come a rule like Japan has, no shrieking on rides. The Amusement Association stepped in to say there will be no such ban, but masks and distancing will be enforced so that when there is hooting and hollering, the risk of spreading the virus will be minimized. And it may not look like it or feel like it where you are, but tomorrow is the first day of spring. It arrives at 5:37 a.m. Eastern, which is the moment when Earth's tilt puts the sun directly over the equator, allowing for an equal amount of daylight in both the northern and southern hemispheres. That's it for KidNuz. Now our KidNuz quiz. What school is bringing a 101-year-old nun to March Madness? Loyola-Chicago. The CDC may release what new rule today? Social distancing in schools can be 3 feet instead of 6. What new find reportedly makes cows a lot less gassy? Red seaweed. The latest Martian recording of a Perseverance road trip sounds like what? Nails on a chalkboard. In One for the Road, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. An amateur photographer snapping random pictures at Satellite Beach in Florida had no idea what he caught on camera until hours later. In one photo, now seen round the world, a giant manta ray photobombed a surfer. It's massive and almost looks like a whale's tail. These types of mantas grow to have a 29-foot wingspan, and judging from the picture, this one could be pretty close. It's worth a look, and we've put a link to it in the news section of our Keep Kids Learning page. Before we head out for the weekend, it's time to recognize our teachers, starting with Mr. Hughes and his students at Barbara Bush and Sandra Day O'Connor Elementary Schools in Mesa, Arizona. Mrs. Panici at Northwood School, home of the Grizzlies, in Cook, Minnesota. Mrs. Mortensen at Meadowbrook in Springville, Utah. And to California for Mrs. L at Chaparral in San Diego. And Mrs. Guerrero and her Bomb.com class at Acacia in Fullerton. Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to take our Week in Review quiz, and we'll see you back here for more Kid News Monday morning.